real concern is that just like we are an evolution of those lower primates, it's going to be an evolution of us.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen. I don't think, there may not be any avoiding it.
It might not be.
Again, we're the virus.
Yeah.
And this is just one of my thoughts. This is me saying unequivocally that
we're
cool. The virus. The
thing is, I like people. This is the other side of it. People are cool.
Yeah.
They're cool.
I often pray that aliens go ahead and attack this motherfucker, so white people and black people will cut the bullshit and finally have to unite like one great movie of Red October.
Dude, I think we're gonna get our asses kicked every single time.
I'm not saying we're not, but at
least
for one time in humanity, all the empires would have to unite. Like that's what I'm saying.
Do you remember that Reagan speech?
No.
You never heard it?
Uh-uh.
Reagan actually said that. I forget who he was addressing.
You may be the first person to ask, besides him putting in the civil rights, the King Day, you might give me the only other thing I like about Ronald Reagan.
It was a very strange thing he said.
Okay.
And one of the things that was really strange about it was that it shot off this gigantic wave of conspiracy theorists who are thinking that they're going to tell us something about alien contact. Check this out. Listen to this.
Some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Dude.
And yet I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
Tell you what, dude. Ronald Reagan knocked it out of the fucking park right there.
Well, no matter what you say. Straight up, I have a song called Reagan. Many of you know. Wasn't the biggest fan of him or many U.S. presidents because I rapped about more than him in there. But that definitely is going to make it on a Killer Mike song.
Really?
I have
awesome.
to. You got it. Just Killer Mike and LP. We definitely, if anybody, think aliens are going to come kill us all one day. So I'm going to maybe suggest to L. Hopefully he'll use it. But if not, fuck it, I'm going to do it. That shit is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that it is possible that aliens came down and manipulated the genetics of lower primates and created people? I'm willing, based on all the theology, I'm willing to accept that that's a possibility, because I don't think that we're alone. Right? I just don't. There's nothing. Even if there's some divine thing that woke up and decided to make us, and we're special children, and we're on Earth, the blue planet, there had to have been some other things made or played with. Right? I don't think that. I think it's very arrogant as a human being to think that it's just us, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that the possibility that something made it here and something happened exists, absolutely. Because if we're experimenting on animals and things, my daughters are me. Their temperament is me. Their curiosity is me. Like I'm looking at Michael and I'm looking at Anaya and I'm like, arguing with Anaya is like arguing with myself. She doesn't know why she acts like that. I don't know. Now, if I can look at my pit bull and say, well, her mother acted like this, and this is why I know she's coded this way, I know her father was this, then I have to look at my daughter and say, on a genetic basis, 23 of my chromosomes, I know our temperament is like that. I know why Michael is not going to argue. She's a smart kid, she's an art student, but the minute you put her in danger, she's going to punch you. You know what I mean? That's what it's going to be. And it's not going to be anything else, because she is going to protect her. So it's like, I have to think that my curiosity, if nothing else, my drive to do this. So if you take the primate side, you say, well, you know that I have to live amongst this. I got to survive as wolves, as lions, tigers, bears out here. I have to go high. I have to create shelter. There's something else with a very small input could have dropped here, landed here. And what's crazy, if you look into Nation of Islam philosophy of sorts, they have a UFO type philosophy. Something here, and by their mind, a scientist created, all of went a ray and kind of created the different races. But something could have come here, and it gets here, and it says, boom, if I do this and this, and I create this, and then we set upon evolution, and we end up here. Or that just could be, me stoned, having watched too many sci-fi movies, but it's possible. It is possible. There's zero evidence for it, but it's certainly possible that if we could go to another planet that we knew had life, that it's possible if we found some lower primates that we would manipulate them. Yeah. It's very possible. If we had a full survey of another planet, we got there and okay, here's the good news. Good news, a lot of life. Yeah. Bad news is the most intelligent thing is basically a chimp. But we got some ideas, and what we're going to do is we're going to plant some seeds of our genetics in some of these chimps. They're going to be smarter than the other chimps, and then we're going to leave mushrooms everywhere.
Yeah. Why that?
Yeah. Leave the mushrooms everywhere. Let the chimps eat the mushrooms.
Maybe we're in a fishbowl.
Maybe.
Yeah, because again, we very arrogantly think of ourselves as top choice, but maybe we're just a virus on this living thing. Maybe we say,
Maybe.
but you think
Maybe.
about it. We
Yeah.
could go extinct.
Yep.
A mass virus could kill us all.
Yep. For
That's
sure.
That's what we're constantly fighting. The
Yeah.
Earth wouldn't stop.
But the thing about a virus is, like, virus is wholly negative in our eyes. I don't think we're wholly negative to each other.
I don't think a virus thinks it's wholly negative.
So
What I'm
viruses,
saying
when
is
they're
that,
eating you up, you're having a good party. When you get the flu, they're like, dude, it's a
bro,
party up in this
if
bitch.
this thing is really a living thing, if the Earth is really a living thing,
Yeah.
we are possibly the worst things for it.
Oh, for sure.
Why shouldn't it get rid of us?
Other than meteors.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're the worst thing for not just the biological life, but the particulates in the atmosphere.
And now we're creating technology that's going to eventually kill us and get rid of us that may be able to live in harmony with biology.
Maybe.
So yeah, maybe
Yeah.
maybe it's over for us in a few thousand years.
I want to talk to you about the story of the crystal skulls themselves, because there's this strange sort of folklore attached to them, and then there's a lot of people that believe that it's all horseshit and that these were created by modern people and buried underground
Yep.
in order to...
Well, my understanding of it is there you go.
Cheers again.
Yeah, indeed. That's just the citrus model, the crystal driver. There were 13 heads, and it was purported that the Navajo, the Anasazi, the Mayans, the Aztec each had one. The most famous one is the Mitchell Hedges skull, which was found in the Yucatan by Anna Mitchell Hedges. She reached into a cave. She was with her grandfather, and it was around 1926, and she reached in, and there was an oilcloth covered item in there, and she pulled it out and opened it up, and there was the two-piece detachable jaw Mitchell Hedges skull. Beautiful skull. The Hewlett-Packard engineers did a test on it in the 60s. They said it could not have been carved by a lapidary, by tools. It had to have been polished over hundreds of years, over centuries, to get to the shape that it was. So they said it was a polished item. Let's see. There's the Mitchell Hedges skull, the Phyllis Newman skull named Max. She says,
wasn't that later decided by some people that this was not the case?
I'm gonna exactly get to
please.
that point, because of course it's important. It doesn't affect my business whether they're fake or not. These were beautiful artifacts, and we've recreated it beautifully. But it's nice to know the true story, and I have kind of a thought on the theory either way. So there's the Phyllis Newman skull named Max. She has to put it in the closet because it talks to her. There's
What?
one.
Wait. Hit the brakes.
Yeah,
I'm
Phyllis-
gonna have to hit the brakes a bunch with you. You're an excellent talker, sir.
Oh well, I was inoculated with a gramophone needle at birth. I could talk a taxi dispatcher into a vow of silence. I could talk an air raid siren to scrap. But
And you're obviously Canadian because you said slag.
yeah, there you go.
I used to date a
So-
Canadian gal. She loved that term.
Oh,
So
wow.
when-
That's another tangent, Canadian gals and
Yes.
Canadian guys. So the Philip Newman skull, she got it. Its name is Max. She has to put it in the closet because it talks to her, she said. So there's the Mitchell
still
Hedges.
has it?
Yes, she does. Phyllis has that one. Then there's the Mitchell Hedges skull that's in Indiana. The man that took care of Anna at the end of her life eventually had it and got it. It sat in Grafton, Ontario for many years, and I never saw it, but people said when they walked into the room and she uncovered it with the cloth she kept it in, that there was an immediate feeling of well-being and healing coming over to look at the original Mitchell Hedges skull. There's one in Mexico City. It's one of our minis. It's got a cross stuck right in the top of it, which is, that would shatter crystal if you did that. How that cross got there, I don't know. There's one at the Smithsonian in Washington, and two at the Smithsonian, Washington, D.C., and one at the Victoria and Albert Museum. So there's supposed to be 8 that we have and 5 that we're missing. The woman at the Smithsonian who has the 2 there, I think they're a cloudy orange one and a cloudy green one, and they're smaller. She says they're all fakes, that they were carved by a German lapidary in the 1800s, and that he seeded them around the world. Well, wait a minute. I think one was found in Tibet. One was found in Ohio, we're hearing, at the Serpent Mounds.
Why did she think this one gentleman did it?
Because he was an expert lapidary. He had the tools to do it, and she figures her theory is that they're not artifacts polished by tribal hands and passed down, that they're all fakes. But it's just, wait a minute, he would have had to have had an airship to go and deposit these wherever they might be around the world. You can get the pictures of the skulls up, the Smithsonian crystal heads, and the Smithsonian crystal heads you can get in Victoria Albert crystal head.
Do they all have the same similar type of markings?
There's theirs. Yes, they do. They all have the same. Now, You see, some of them are more are clearer. See, there's one at the British Museum, and there's some that are clearer and are more beautiful, and there's some that are rougher, like that one there, and the green and the orange one. But she says all fakes. But if they're all fakes, how did they get to these different places around the world, and how were they found?
Well, here's the thing. But why fake? The word fake is very strange. Because it's like they are certainly real carved crystal skulls.
But were they from tribal ancestry?
Right.
That's the question.
Who made them? Is the question.
Who made them?
From modern Western
and
people?
And how? Were they polished or were they carved? That's the thing. Aren't they beautiful? Oh, God.
What do the indigenous people say? They say they found them?
The Navajo say they came from the Star Children, that they were brought down and deposited and given to them as crystal ball devices, scrying devices too.
What's that one down there, Jamie? Keep scrolling where you were.
The green
one on
is
the left,
beautiful.
The one on the left right there that looks almost like a real skull. Oh, it is a real skull.
Yeah, no, the green is beautiful. So I guess, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a professional historian. I guess I have to trust the lady at the Smithsonian, but then I question, they were found at different times in history around the world. How do you go and seed? How do you deposit them there?
Why does she believe that? Has she given a coherent reason why she thinks that they're all hoaxes?
I guess she's done her analysis, whatever they've done, to their skulls. But again, the Hewlett-Packard engineers took that Mitchell Hedges skull and they said this have not have been polished. It would have been cracked or destroyed. It could not have been built by tools. It would have been cracked or destroyed. It had to have been polished. Yeah.
So, but what about some sort of a very fast-moving drill with a diamond bit on it that can slowly grind down?
Well, there'd be marks that would be visible under the scanner.
Couldn't you polish those marks down?
I think that the intensity of the Hewlett-Packard scrutiny revealed that there were none of those marks, and that's why they were able to make their claim.
Here's the problem with this: is like you want them to be real, right? Don't you?
Oh yeah, I love the legend.
I do too. I do too. But I don't trust me.
No, neither do I.
So
that's why I say openly.
When you're saying all these things, I want to believe you. I want them to be from the sky people.
Mm-hmm. I do too, but again, you've got a professional in Washington at our National Museum there who says no, they're not.
Yeah, but what does she know?
Well, we could.
She might be one of them.
We should get her on the phone.
She might be a party pooper.
I think that she's probably as in love with the skulls, even though they are, not polished in her mind. I bet she loves them as much as we do.
But the thing is, if you are a professional intellectual or someone who's a curator of fine artwork and ancient relics, you kind of have to be one of those people that dismisses anything preposterous. Because if not,
that's right. Like Neil Tyson, don't you love him?
Yes, I love him to death.
I love Neil. But there's no way you can sit down and say Neil, Barney, and Betty Hill were abducted by a flying saucer in 1957. He's not going to accept that because he can't accept that because everything in his training, everything in his knowledge, everything that he knows about physics and science and propulsion in the universe and how to get from place to place defies the legend, or I would say defies the theory that there are extraterrestrial advanced ships out there. He can't accept it. It's just, it would be unprofessional for him to say, okay, there's even a possibility that there were abductions. But
the Betty and Barney Hill story is very interesting, but there's no real evidence other than their testimony. Is that correct?
Well, there was a stain on Betty's dress. There's her excellent recall. He was unconscious.
What was the stain on her dress that's so interesting to you?
It was a fluid that they used in the testing, that some kind of a fluid,
the
a chemical.
Alien testing?
That they did when they drew ova from her and they drew sperm from him. Now, so there's a book out called Contact by Stanton Friedman.
I read that.
Kathleen, I'd love to know where the car is. Where the Chevy they were driving.
Oh, it disappeared?
Where is that? I don't know. I'd have to ask Kathleen where it is. Did it end up in a junkyard? Because there were marks on the back of the car as well. There were trace evidence in the back of the car. Ted Phillips is. He goes around the world collecting trace evidence and radioactive signatures from sightings and landings. On the back of the car, there was a couple of marks, but it was Betty's. It's their credibility. Why would they want to bring this into their lives? And she was conscious, semi-conscious through much of it, and Barney was not conscious. He was unconscious. If you hear the tapes of Ben Simon's interviews with them under hypnosis, the screaming and he was just so frightened.
Yeah.
And the Zeta Reticuli map, when the being Betty looked at the map and the being showed her a map as she was on her way out the door, and she said, "May I take this?" And the being was going to give it to her, but then another one zipped up and said, "No. You can't have this.
Zeta Reticuli is exactly the same place where Bob Lazar says they found those with the spaceships that they have at Area or S4.
Well, the Little Greys, Zeta Reticuli, Barney and Betty's abduction. You had Marjorie Fish, an amateur astronomer. She took the memory of Betty's. Betty drew up the star map, and she did a three-dimensional scale model of that part of the universe, and was able to identify Zeta Reticuli 1 and 2, and accepted by astronomers. So that map that Betty saw aboard that ship had not been seen on Earth before.
And Betty has no history of astronomy, no studying it?
No, none of it at all. And you know, interesting things like when they got back to the house, the house was open, and the keys to the house were on the table with leaves, so that they might have dropped them at the site, and the beings returned them. Now, you know who Bud Hopkins was?
Yes.
He said that since he studied the Linda Cortile case, where the woman was floated out of her apartment building over the East River, and Orange Orb picked her up, plunged into the river.
He was the guy.
Bud was an artist. He was a graphic artist. He was a designer, a painter, and a lovely man. And he was one of the first people to start to deal with the trauma of abductees. He got a reputation for being able to interview them, hypnotize them, interview them, and get their stories and empathize and sympathize with them. And he said that in some cases that he studied, the beings would grab a man from somewhere in America and grab a woman and out of their cars, out of their clothes, put them up, test them, draw ova, draw sperm, fluids, whatever they were doing. And then the woman would wake up in the man's shoes or a different car, or almost as if after the beings were finished with them, I don't care where they go now. Yeah, put them back, that kind of thing. He said that was the oddest phenomena.
Like releasing a trout.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
If
well,
you
I think that's
catch a trout, you catch a big rainbow trout and you're fly fishing, and you got a barbless hook. Most people, if you go to Montana, go to the Gallatin River, shout out to the Gallatin.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous place. People catch and release because they appreciate that the trout are there. They'd rather go buy halibut from a store and not eat the fish because they want the salmon to be healthy. They want the trout to be healthy.
Well,
so they catch them. And then they release them. But if you're a brown trout, well, brown trout are invasive. But if you're a rainbow trout, and someone catches you, and they take you on some 200-yard run down this river as they're trying to draw you in. It's a big 9-pound rainbow, catch of a lifetime,
Beautiful time.
And some guy pulls it on, takes pictures of it, like shows it, and then releases it. And then this thing's like, how the fuck did I get here? What am I doing outside of my universe?
Yeah.
What am I doing in this other dimension of air where I can't breathe?
Precisely. Yeah, and that's catch and release.
Catch and release with people.
Travis Walton says, you got to think of them as just people from over there. They're just
he's
people
the
from
guy
over
the
there.
Fire in the Sky movie was based on. He's got another interesting story. Here's what I want people
credibility
to think.
there, and credibility with Barney and Betty. I just don't think they're lying, and I don't think the Ariel school children are lying.
I don't want to think they're lying. This is the problem that I have with it. I want to believe them. But this is what I want people to consider, because most people that are pragmatic, reasonable people that don't want to be ridiculed, they look at these stories and they go, oh, come on, people are full of shit. And I've been there too. But I want people to imagine that if aliens did occasionally visit Earth, how often do you think this would take place? And how it would be very infrequently. And if it was happening, these would be completely unique, unusual occurrences out of nowhere where someone would come down, they would do something, and they would be leaving the person with this thought and this memory and this inability to describe it with normal words. If you were taken aboard a spaceship and you were some reptilian beings that were 3 feet tall were running experiments on you and you were paralyzed, and then they released you back on Earth, what words do you have available to you to describe this experience in a way that, like, if you tell me, hey, Joe, I went whitewater rafting with my kids. It was a great time. It was so fun. We got to see eagles, and it was gorgeous. And then we had lunch at this beautiful little cafe. What a great day. I can envision this experience. I can see it. But if you tell me, hey, man, we went camping, and I woke up, and some alien had a finger in my ass.
The Allagash incident, they went camping, and they disappeared.
Quite a few of those, right?
There's hundreds of thousands. And here, I brought you a book. This is Bruce Maccabee's book. It's all the headlines from 1952, 432 reports given. And I'll address your specific question about people, how they relate their experiences and how genuine they feel in a second here. 432 reports given the Air Force in 1952 on aerial sightings, ships from other planet. We've got memos from the government here. Former Army pilot sees flying saucer by daylight, whatever was cited here. July 30 stories, fighter pilots at Newcastle say alert for more saucer reports. These are newspaper.
Yeah.
That's yours.
Well, newspapers never lie.
Well,
I don't know if you know that.
Well,
they never make fake stories.
Well,
they never talk shit about people.
The New York Times is pretty reliable. Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Keene are reporters for the New York Times, and they've been studying this phenomenon. They report very credibly on it. I'll tell you how an abductee's experience is related. I attended a lecture at the Fifth Avenue Medical Institute in Manhattan with my wife a few years ago. That would be about 15 years ago. And John Mack was the lecturer. You know, he wrote the book Abduction. He was the Harvard psychiatrist who wrote Abduction. You can get that up too, Abduction, John Mack.
Yes, I read that as well.
Yeah, and
that freaked a friend of mine out. She was a very pragmatic, non-UFO believing person, and we were working together on news radio, my friend Maura Tierney. And she came up to me and she goes like, this book is freaking me the fuck out. And he wrote a second book as well. Didn't he die in a car accident?
John Mack,
I believe he died in a car accident.
Stepped off a curb in a small town in England, and he was struck by a car.
Yeah.
And 3 other John Macks died the same day in England. So
you think people were whacking John Macks because he knew too much?
I don't know.
Let's take
Again,
them all out.
I was at this lecture, and there were 300 abductees there. That some who he'd interviewed with, some he had not, but who were there for interested to find out more about their experience. And one guy got up and said he had one arm, and I don't know whether that was related. I don't think it was related to the experience, but he said, I'm a Wall Street broker. I'm quite well off. I have a sailboat. I was in Long Island Sound a few years ago, and a blue light hit me, and I had missing time of about 5 or 6 hours. But in it, I have filtrated memories of beings addressing me and telling me that I was powerful and influential and I could help the planet survive. And they put me back in my ship, and I woke up, and he said, I'm waiting for them to come back. I want them to come back. And I asked the room, I got up and I said, of all of you who've been taken, how many of you would want to repeat the experience or have it happen again? And about half of them said, no way they'd want to have it happen again. And half said, yeah, we'd like it to happen
Half.
again.
Yeah.
Half, yeah.
Now, I love a
So
good
Bruce signed this to me, and I'm going to give it to you. And it's just got great headlines from the 50s, which was a massive time for saucers. You know that famous photo of the saucers over the Capitol, the glowing lights, and yeah.
See if you can find that photo, Jamie, because it is quite interesting.
July 1952, Washington.
Do you
sightings.
think this was initiated by the detonation of the atomic bombs at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, where they decided, okay, these fucking monkeys are doing some stupid shit. We need to go down there and see what's up and see if there's imminent danger to the cosmos. Let's find out what kind of capabilities they have. Because if you listen to Lazar, or if you believe the work of Zecharia Sitchin, or any of the people that believe that human beings were engineered, that there's the reason why there's this giant leap between us and the rest of the primates on the planet is because something came down and manipulated our genetics.
Well, the movie Mission to Mars with Tim Robbins, basically it says that. Basically it shows the face on Mars, and that is one of NASA employees' favorite movies. Yeah, there they are. Yeah. 1952 UFO incident. Thank you very much.
Look at that photo. That is a crazy
beautiful
photo.
Come on, let's go here now,
That's crazy.
folks. Yeah, that ain't an airplane. That ain't a helicopter.
No, it's a crazy photograph, and it's from 1952. I mean, the special effects back then were incredibly crude.
No,
this was something that was reported
thousands
by
of people. They scrambled jets from Andrews for it and everything.
As well as the Phoenix Lights.
The Phoenix Lights is fascinating because the Fife Symington, the governor, said he saw them. He made fun of it with an alien.
But he
dummy.
talked about that afterwards.
Yeah.
He was put under pressure to do so.
Yeah.
He's in a movie called, what is it? There's a documentary on Netflix. It's available that he's in. That he talks about the pressure that they put on him to make light of that incident, and he talks about his own personal experiences with seeing some sort of triangle-shaped craft that was enormous, the size of several football fields. It was flying overhead, that was completely silent, and how it freaked him out. I think
the triangle and delta crafts are very, very interesting. But the Tinley Park incidents of the 80s, and with Sam Maranto was the investigator there from MUFON. These things would park over the family barbecue for about half an hour. And, families in suburbs were looking up at the sky being blotted out by these things parking above them. So I think it comes down to I don't think these beings. Lord Hill Norton said there were 23 different species visiting the planet in 23 different types of ships. I don't think they want a formal relationship with people on Earth. They want an informal, secret relationship. I think they probably have one with elements of black elements of the Air Force and the government. You know who David Sarita is?
I've heard his
David
name.
Sarita. You should have him on. He's very knowledgeable about this. His theory is that the Roswell event may have been precipitated by the Trinity explosion because there was such an interdimensional disturbance of the atoms being split and that explosion. There was that saucer there that went down in 47 may have been influenced somehow negatively by that explosion. Now, Stanton Friedman didn't buy that. I loved Stanton. He just passed away there. He was the expert on Roswell.
Yeah, I'm upset that I never got to meet him before he died.
He was so credible,
an
and
interesting
so great.
guy who believed in UFOs, but believed most people were lying about them.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he believed that there was a lot of horse shit going on, including Bob Lazar. He thought Bob Lazar was full of shit.
Why would Bob go out there and do that and compromise his life?
Well, let me tell you something. After talking to him for 3 hours and then having dinner with him the night before, I used to believe I had the best bullshit meter in the world, but as I've gotten older, I've gotten more honest. I didn't see anything. He's an incredibly smart guy, and he's not a guy who's like seeking out attention, and he's not profiting from this. In fact,
just his demeanor and everything. Jeez, he's like an accountant.
He's a legitimate scientist.
Yeah.
And I've talked to him. One of the things that I engaged him with when we had dinner, we talked about science, just science in general, and we talked about all sorts of different things. And he's a scientist. He's a legit scientist. I've talked to a lot of them.
Yeah,
I know what kind of person he is.
And they just hassled him again there. They rated his nuclear isotope.
They think he has element 115. That's what they think.
Wouldn't we all love to have that?
Yeah, that's what they think. That's some artist created that thing up there with element 115. And
element 115, indeed. Well, if you get a little sliver of that, that would be pretty exciting. Yeah.
He talked openly about it in the 90s that he had managed to weasel some away from the Area S4. And they think that he still has it.
Yeah.
But there were some experiments that he had done that George Knapp had actually filmed that had showed some really bizarre distortions using this stuff, and then it was able to. I got to remember exactly what it did that they showed, but they did some experiments with like steam or smoke or something like that, where they showed element 115 emitting some sort of
vapor.
Well, no, it was emitting some sort of a field.
Where
you literally couldn't physically touch this stuff. Mm-hmm. Aykroyd's crazy into UFOs. He's like one of the main celebrities they pull up when people start talking about like UFO real believers. He's done like little clips where he narrates things, UFO shows and shit. He fucking believes.
Well, didn't they just release that there's even more belief now about UFOs?
Yeah, it's fun. I don't know if it's real, but it's fun. That's how I feel.
Doug, I did a podcast with Jim Florentine, and I explained to Jim Florentine that what people don't know is that Hudson County, New Jersey, northern New Jersey is the number one place in the country where they have the most UFO sightings.
Really? Northern New Jersey?
Look it up, Jamie, if you get a minute, please, not to be rude.
But isn't that like near a couple airports?
No, it's closer to like, like when you live in New York City and you look at the Hudson River, they say that people go on their balcony, they're drinking coffee, they're talking on the phone, and they'll see a little flying saucer go by.
Really?
And I know for a fact that in 1976...
A little one?
Whatever the fuck they are. I know for a fact that in 1975 and 1976, you could check me out on this. A UFO landed in Hudson County Park. I was a kid, and the next day the feds locked off the park. They had yellow tape. They had samples. Go look it up, dog. There's a UFO. You see that's called, North Bergen is where I'm from. That's called, I forget what it's called, but it's a circular building. So they did so much coke in there in the 80s, they called it the grinder. That's what they called it because it was shaped like the Stonehenge. The Stonehenge. I have a couple friends that lived there. People that lived in that building have seen UFOs for fucking years. And if you go to YouTube, there's an actual North Hudson Park UFO. Wow. They dug up, they came out to there's a liquor store. And the liquor store guy says he's seen the lights. Mm-hmm. You heard like the organ music that they play. Ooh. They landed. A couple Martians got out and took samples and got back in the thing and took off.
There's a YouTube thing. There's a History Channel special about it. And I still remember being a young kid.
Did you find anything, Jamie?
Not give.
It's just, that was what's popping up. All that stuff about that building and.
Oh
tons of
yeah,
things.
no.
Is there anything that says a UFO landed?
That's the story I'm reading right now. Is what he's saying. Yeah.
And witnesses. It's not just one guy that says, "I know UFO." It's people who got knocked on the door and said, "Did you see anything at 11:10 at night?" And they said, "You know what? There were lights flashing outside." They contacted police departments to see if there was any. They went full. Then the FBI came in, circled the park. It was by the Little League field in Hudson County. But it is like you'd think it was Area 51. You'd think it was close to northern Las Vegas. The number one place to see UFOs is northern New Jersey. They even made a reference to it in The Sopranos. When he said something, he goes, "What are you talking about? Last week you said you seen a UFO in Hackensack." Because that's where they're at. Hackensack, Moonachie.
Right.
All those. You ever go to Moonachie, New Jersey? A lot of ugly people. A lot of people with big heads. The only good thing in Moonachie, New Jersey is fucking Segovia, Spanish restaurant. It's been there since 19 fucking Schlemensky. I don't know. But that's the only good thing about Moonachie. I think those people in Moonachie have been abducted. There you go. And they put them back as big-headed motherfuckers.
I did a gig there a couple times.
Oh, yeah. There used to be like a bar. There's a bar that did something in Moonachie.
Was that a Bob Gonzo gig?
Yes, outside the Sea Caucus.
Was it?
Yeah, it's outside. No. I think Bob is more down the shore and
He
stuff.
he had gigs all over
He had
the
gigs
place.
all over, Bob. How I met Bob was he did a gig in Romano's Italian restaurant in my hometown. And my buddy's like, "Hey, aren't you a comedian? Let's take you up there." And we went up there, and Bob's like, "I don't know him." He said, "Unknown." And next thing Bob came up to me, he's like, "Dog, I got to put you up because my friends threatened me." So Bob put me up, and we've become friends ever since.
That's awesome.
I think I follow him on Facebook. We have a chat from time to time on Facebook. But yeah, for you UFO motherfuckers, look into northern New Jersey. That's the fucking motherload of them.
That's interesting. I had read that before, but I kind of
There you go, 51.
51 UFO sightings in 2018. You get biased because the story is always some person in the woods and they get abducted. They see a UFO in some strange town in the middle of nowhere. The aliens land, abduct people. You always think about it being a rural thing. But if I was an alien, of course I'd go to New York City. Of course I'd go to New Jersey. What the fuck? Why wouldn't you? You want to go see the craziest thing we have? You got like 7 million people stuffed together on a fucking tiny island in comparison to the rest of the planet. Stuff stacked on top of each other. Awesome, amazing buildings. All these lights at Times Square. Look at all these people mulling around, traveling over these bridges to get to this one hub, this one hive of humanity. Of course, if I was an alien, I would check that out. Why would I look at a barn? You know what I mean?
You used to have a joke that the United States is the Tijuana
of outer space.
Space. Like they're like, "What are we doing this weekend? We're going to fucking."
They come down when they're fucked up and they want to see a show.
They want to see a show.
That was the whole bit. Is that I think aliens come here when they're high. They just get fucked up. They're like, "Come on, let's go check out the monkeys. Let's go, dude. Come on, let's abduct a couple of them. Have a good time. Let's go see the monkey people."
I never saw a fucking UFO.
I want to. I never have though.
I want to see it land, and I want to see one of those green dudes get out. So I
think I thought I saw some shit when I was a kid, but as I got older, I thought that was like a fighter jet or something. That's what that was. Like there was something. God, it's a real sketchy memory. It's one of those memories that's like barely active. But I remember thinking for like a day or two when I was like a little kid, maybe I saw a UFO. But I think I was trying to convince myself of it. I was bored. But I think it was a jet. I think it was something fast and unusual. Have you ever seen one of those stealth bombers? That looks like a fucking UFO. Have you ever seen one of those things in the sky?
No, yes.
It looks like a Star Wars
Like when
movie.
you go to like a Blue Angels fucking thing, those planes.
Yeah,
they're
probably.
No,
those are like, I think those are FA-18s. That's what I think it is. I think that's what that is. I flew in one of those. I had a bit about that too. Yeah, you got to do that. You hold on to the hand. You got to do it. You hook. You either hold on to your handle if you're steering the plane, or you hold on to your straps if you're a passenger. I was in the passenger seat, so I grabbed a hold of my straps, and you have to go like this, hoot, 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 and you have to force blood into your brain to stay awake. That's how much G-force you're going through. It's insane.
force blood into
Yeah.
your brain to stay awake.
See, that's one of those stealth bombers. I saw one of those in the air over. I guess it's Edwards Air Force Base. Is that what the one it is? Is Edwards the one that's out near Palmdale? I think that's it.
Yeah.
Because we used to film Fear Factor in Palmdale, and we saw that thing fly overhead like that. Look at that thing. Tell me that doesn't look like it's from another planet. When you're on the ground and you see that fly overhead, you're like, what the fuck is that? So I think that's responsible for a bunch of the things that people saw. I think it's military crafts.
Can I ask you a question on that article you pulled up, the 51 sightings? What type of sightings do you
Look
have?
at this fucking thing.
What is considered a sighting?
Well, the thing is, like, you just see shit. But how do you know if... What are you doing, Jim?
These are the sightings.
Okay, but go back to that video. Look at that thing. I mean, come on. If you're just sitting on the ground, you saw that, you're like, they're coming! The aliens are coming! That does not look like it's from this world. That thing is madness.
Especially with those two guys next to him.
God, it's fucking beautiful, though. Like, what an amazing design. That thing flying through, it looks like something on a keyboard. You know, it looks like a symbol on a keyboard. And it's just flying perfectly through the air. That looks like the future. I mean, that really does look like it's from another world. I would imagine, like, little blue dudes with black eyes and talking to each other in that thing. Going through fucking wormholes and shit. I mean, that's what that thing looks like. And what's the thing that they're going to have 100 years from now? Just imagine that.
Yeah, I just want to know what the logistics is for it to be considered a legitimate sighting.
Legitimate sighting?
Legitimate sighting.
It just means that someone saw it. You know, you don't, like, if you're a lawyer, okay, and you see something, and then you convince yourself that what you saw was something extraordinary, and you have the feeling that you're looking at something from another world. But if it's just some drone or some military vehicle, and then you look at it, and then you convince yourself, then it becomes a bigger and bigger deal in your head. That's a problem with people. It doesn't mean that everybody that sees something is seeing that, but people are kind of full of shit.
Well, let's say there's a 1-800 call Martian. Mm-hmm. All right. I see a fucking thing. I call that thing.
1-800 call Martian.
Yeah, call Martian. Okay, whatever the fuck.
Okay.
1-800 Martian.
Right.
The phone won't stop ringing. Okay, the phone
It
won't
will
stop
never
ringing.
stop ringing.
It will never stop ringing.
There'll be people talking to Martians.
My concern is, when do they consider it credible? What does it take for it to be credible? For me, for it to be credible, I got to see the motherfucker land, get out.
My take is usually military guys. When you have military fighter pilots, that's an extraordinary human. If you can be one of those guys that flies one of those B-2s, for them to trust you with that $1 billion fucking spaceship, dude, you got to be an exceptional human. There's no room for someone who's full of shit. You're going to be a top flight fighter pilot. You're going to fly around with gunfights in the sky, because that's what they do. They have gunfights in the fucking sky. Those guys are exceptional human beings. So when they see something, that's when I listen, for sure. Everybody else, I'm not that I wouldn't listen, but I don't know. You know, you might be crazy. But you might be crazy even if you're in the military. You might be crazy if you're a fighter pilot. It's 100% possible.
So those fighter pilots and all those Air Force pilots that do test runs or whatever, they say that they see things.
There's a bunch of sightings. Not only a bunch of sightings, there's a bunch of sightings from these really credible guys. What is this? Fleet of UFOs followed U.S. aircraft Navy pilot says.
Yeah,
May
this is what I'm
29th.
talking about.
See, these guys that are talking about these things, these aren't guys with histories of embellishing things. They have this, whatever that is. Is that radar? What are they looking at? Is that infrared? Like, what is that screen that they're looking for? Does it say what kind of image it is? Because it's like a weird look. It's not like a photograph, right? It's like a weird computer image. Because it's detecting it, right, with some piece of equipment, right? Isn't it? Like tracking it on radar or something like that?
I know what you're saying because I feel like I've heard that description of it too, but this article just says it's video of 2 aerial encounters.
That's tremendous.
But that video doesn't look very clear. Why isn't it clear? My phone does a better job than that shit.
They don't have very good cameras on those.
Cameras,
they have good cameras. I mean, they don't have good ones, but like in order to catch movement at that high speed up there, yada, yada, all that stuff.
Oh, so it would require some exceptional gear.
I think. And it could have also been at night. I don't know what time of day it was.
So convenient. So convenient that they never have a clear picture. That drives me fucking crazy. It drives me fucking crazy because if it is real, I want it to be real. Honestly, I really do. But when I look at it, I go, God damn, so many people are so crazy and so many people are so full of shit.
You personally believe, and so do I,
Dun, dun, dun.
that there's other galaxies out there. There has to be.
Well, there definitely other galaxies, other civilizations.
Other civilizations.
Yeah.
Some form somewhere. Out of the 9 planets, there's got to be
Dude, there was
something. I don't know what. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what they're called or whatever, but there has to be something. At this point, you have to believe that.
The universe is too big. It's just too big to discount, to say, nope, I doubt it. Like, that's so crazy to say. Just because we haven't seen it yet, it's so big.
There's the explanation of what he caught and what.
He said that though tracking equipment, radar, and infrared cameras on his aircraft detected UFOs both times, he was unable to capture them on his helmet camera. Okay.
So maybe he couldn't look at it, get it in good vision or whatever. I don't
Maybe.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or that's a good reason why he.
I would imagine as fast as those goddamn things are going, it must be really hard to get a
See what
camera
he
to be able
just
to
says
constantly
there?
focus in and out and
That's interesting. He says that Lieutenant Ryan Grimes,
Graves?
whatever, a squadron of UFOs followed his Navy strike group up and down the eastern coast of the U.S. for months. That's, I'm telling you, that little fucking, I read something about the Hudson River, that all those people that live across the Hudson River, whether on the Weehawken and Edgewater side or the west side of Manhattan, those are where the people on their balconies see all that shit.
Look at this shit. We did have issues with them when we went to the Middle East, Lieutenant Graves said. Imagine them following the war. Imagine if they were aliens and they came down to follow the war. So they see the war going on in Iraq,
How crazy is that?
Afghanistan. They come down and they're checking it out.
Just to go on the cynical side of this, they're not necessarily saying they are an alien ship. They're saying it's a UFO, so it's something they're not sure of. What if it's some sort of awesome drone that some Middle Eastern company has and it can just follow shit or move faster or something? Who knows? I don't know.
That would be the more likely explanation, right? Yeah. Terrestrial would be more likely that someone has advanced shit. We know they have advanced shit. I mean, we know they have incredible drones. You know, the stuff that they can do.
So Larry, they got drones. That green berets or SEALs, you put razor blades on them, and they slit your fucking throat when you're driving.
Whoa.
That's how good the technology is on those drones.
Jesus Christ. I wouldn't be shocked if they could do all kinds of things that we can't
You could be
expect.
standing there, and they could take the drone to just come down, and fucking, they put razor blades on them or some shit.
Well, you could totally see someone having a small drone, like a small thing, like the size of a cheeseburger, that has poison in it, and just slam it into somebody. I could see that. But you're seeing, when you're seeing stuff that's flying around the sky, most likely is made by a person, because people make stuff, and people know how to make stuff that flies around the sky. But then when you get to shit that like defies physics, like some of the things these fighter pilots see, that's when you got to go, wait a minute. You see these extraordinary feats of traversing distances, like they can get from one place to another place so fast it looks like they disappear. This is something they all talk about. They all talk about the insane speed at which these things can go. They can just change angles. They can just go and then take a hard right angle turn. They can do stuff that nothing that we know how to make can do. That's where it gets to be like, whoa. Like nothing. It's not like it's like, oh, that's like a fighter jet, but like really fast. You know what I'm saying? It's like an alien car. Oh, it's like a car, but it's way faster. Like it's an alien car. But this is not like anything that we make. These fucking things, they fly this way, they say, flat, like a plate hovering over the ground. But when they go to fly, when they go to take off, they flip up sideways. And they have like the bottom of the spaceship is pointing towards where it wants to go. And it does something to space and time, make some sort of fucking magnetic gravity connection, insert big spooky words, whatever. They don't know how the fuck it does it, right? This thing can go like insane distances in insanely small amounts of time. when they all report the same kind of behavior of these, I mean, so many of these reports are like that. They're talking about this thing that goes insanely fast, turns on its side. It looks like a Tic Tac. It looks like a saucer. It looks like they're trying to figure out what the fuck the shape is because it's moving so goddamn fast. But it's doing stuff that nothing we know how to make can do. I don't know if it's from another planet. It might be from here, but it's exciting. It's exciting shit. I want it to be from another planet. That's what I want, like unbiased, like what I would love it. Just be completely honest. I would love it if it was aliens. But if it was people, I'd be even more scared because like, goddamn, people can do that. People can do that, and no one knew. Like if you can imagine a person who can make a spaceship that defies all of the rules that we know about travel, about air travel. If they can make something that defies all that shit and somehow or another keep the whole development and production of it a secret and then have this thing and take it off and no one knows how the fuck they did it, that's almost more impressive than aliens. Because that's what these things are doing is if these pilots are accurately reading what's happening and they're telling the truth, the thing that's remarkable is their stories are very consistent. There's a lot of very similar stories from different people that they make a living flying super fast warships. You know, they see things. They know what the fuck they're looking at. They see something they don't know. They're like, what in the fuck is that? When they see something like that, that freaks me out. That's when it gets me. Because when some fucking kid's riding his bike to school and he looks up and he sees a UFO, okay, maybe it did happen. Maybe it did happen. Maybe the kid's being 100% honest. Or maybe he was bored. Maybe he was bored and decided to make up a crazy story and stuck with it. And then after a while telling it, maybe he believed it himself. That happens too. People see things. They don't know what they're seeing and they decide that it's a different thing. I've said this before, but it's a true story. When I was in Alberta, there's wolves there. And I thought I saw a wolf for like a whole second. It was a squirrel. It was a fucking squirrel. But I saw gray fur movement wolf squirrel. Like if you're dumb or if you're compromised or if maybe you're a little drunk, maybe you're a little tired, you know, maybe you just saw something that looked really weird because of, you know, whatever weather conditions that are affecting some part of the world you live in. There's things called ball lightning, flies through the air. You know, it looks like a UFO. You ever see that shit? It's like a real natural phenomenon. Somebody might see something like that and then add a bunch of other shit to it. And that's where you get a lot of these stories. You get like natural phenomenon and then people adding a bunch of shit to things. But then on top of that, you have credible stories. And you can't throw out any of them. Like it's when you look at all these things, you can't decide just because there's a bunch of crackpot stories about UFOs that the ones by legitimate fighter pilots, that those aren't real. You can't look at it that way. It's crazy to look at it that way because it's more likely there's something out there than there isn't something out there. It's way more likely.
When I was a kid and that happened in Hudson County Park, I wrote it off. I didn't even pay attention. I remember riding my bike up there, seeing the Fed tape and seeing people with those orange protective suits on.
Yeah.
And I was like, these people are fucking out of my mind. Then one night I got high, 5 or 6 years ago, and I saw it. And somebody had posted on Facebook or YouTube, and I read more and more into it. And I discounted it until I read the accounts of the 28 people.
Yeah.
In that building, the liquor store, there was a guy who had just got dropped off a bus from New York. There's buses drop you off there from New York. Mm-hmm. The bus driver said there was a flash. He couldn't, you know, there were just so many people with stories that, you know, they didn't see a fucking guy get out. Only 3 people saw people get out. Mm. Everybody else discounted the lights and the noise and the other bullshit that went with it. I would have shit my fucking pants if I lived in that building and saw 3 little Martians get out. Or it could just be fucking, who knows? Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, man.
I just wanted to tell you that's where
people can get freaked out, and they can, you know, they can think all kinds of things that didn't really happen.
Hey, one night I was on acid. I thought it was I thought the FBI was out there with dogs. When I went out the next day, it was fucking a fire hydrant, all right? I dumped an ounce of coke down the toilet.
Oh, my God.
Because I hallucinated. Because when you do coke for more than fucking 10 hours, you start hallucinating. I started hallucinating. I thought it was fucking dogs and it was a fire hydrant. You know how stupid I felt the next day? Pretty fucking stupid. Pretty fucking stupid. I sat there and I went over and petted the hydrant. You fuck. You fuck.
This is a problem with any story, like all these fucking UFO stories. It's people's memory. Memory's not that good. It's just not that good. It's too hard to figure out what it actually looked like after you saw it. Like you see something crazy like a year ago, and then you try to describe it. It's too hard to describe. Like you barely remember it. Your version of it is a rehashed version that you keep repeating to yourself. You know, if you saw something, like say if you were hiking and you saw a wolf, right? If you saw that wolf, when you try to describe that moment you saw that wolf years later, like what are you actually seeing when you're going into your memory? How accurate is it? We're always lying about how accurate our memory is. It's not that good. Like if you did see a wolf, which is an extraordinary moment, right? You're in the fucking forest. You're like, it's a fucking wolf. That's a wolf. And you see a real wolf looking down on you, a wild motherfucker in the woods of Canada, just looking at you, staring at you on a trail. Like that's an extraordinary moment. But if you try to recount that in your mind 10 years later, what do you actually see? How much do you actually see? You see this blurry, weird, fucking misty version, and you've got some words that fall into place that can describe it. But how accurate is your fucking memory? It's terrible.
How accurate is your memory?
It's good with statistics.
Okay.
Like I can tell you about fights. I can tell you what year someone fought. I can tell you how this guy won and how he beat this many guys with a triangle, and I remember things. But if I actually have to remember what it actually looked like in my head, I can't really pull that up. I barely can pull it up. If I see it, I'll recognize it again. You know? Like you show me Joe Schilling knocking out Melvin Manhoef in Bellator. I watched that KO so many times. A wild, crazy slugfest. And if I see it, I'm watching it happen in a video. I remember it. Yep, this is how it goes. Here it goes. Boom! He KOs him. But if I had to just pull that out of my brain right now, it's not good. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if I have to close my eyes and pretend I saw Mike Tyson knock out Michael Spinks, I kind of can see little flashes. I can kind of remember weird little parts of it. You know, I remember the final right hand. Boom! He just sends him flying through the ropes. It was chaos. It was just like he's the best ever. But if I had to play it back in my head, it wouldn't be nearly as good as it.
Talking about the aliens. I got a video on the screen.
Oh, perfect.
I want to hear it myself.
Yeah.
Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
So aliens are real?
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
Well,
he made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
The president.
I do now.
Maybe I'll get him out of trouble. I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
We know illegal aliens.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying. That's hilarious.
What else?
That was it. What's going around the internet? These in the circles of these.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying. Jeez, I hope he does.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Imagine you can get in trouble as a president for saying aliens are real.
I don't think so, man. I don't think he's gonna get in trouble for that.
Well, what did he say then? What was that?
They've been saying there's aliens.
Right, but what did he just say?
He just hates Obama. He's going oh, he's going to jail. I'm getting Hillary and I'm getting Obama for aliens.
They all hate each other and they all hang out and shake hands.
Yeah. Yeah, whose funeral was that when George Bush and them were handing out candy to each other? It was George Bush and...
Well, George Bush and Michelle Obama are apparently friends.
Oh, they're buddies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which everybody thought. But George Bush never engaged in this insult kind of thing that Trump does.
It's true.
It's a different thing.
Yeah, it's totally... No, that's
he was
totally
always
true.
very classy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially when you see the videos of him back in the day, now you're like, man, this guy's lovable.
Oh, dude, in comparison to the politicians of
That's
today,
what I'm saying, yeah.
He was like, oh, when is he running again?
The guy's a complete class act. And then you're like, oh, yeah, fuck the Middle East, forgot about that. But it's like...
Oh, yeah. Well, he had Satan on his side.
Yeah, true.
Dick Cheney was running around fucking shooting his friends in the face and hunting trips.
That's true. I don't know. I mean, that thing is like, was it classified? There's like now, but then if Trump's going to be like that, he gave out classified, then he's letting you know it's classified. So he's telling you the cat's out of the bag. So
well, he's saying I may declassify it. I hope he does. I hope this like gets him, because that is a weird thing to say. He's not supposed to be saying that. Well, that means it's real. He gave out classified information. That means there's real data that aliens are real. That's the only thing you could draw as a conclusion from that statement.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you would think.
I don't think I would try to come up with another reasonable way. He would say aliens are real. You shouldn't say that because it's classified.
Yeah.
That means it's real.
Yeah, it is. But that's such a crazy. If Trump was trying to keep it classified, you think he'd be like, I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, I don't know, dude.
Being like, well, yeah, they are, but I can't say they are, and he's in trouble now.
I told you I've talked to Bob Lazar many times.
Oh, yeah.
I had him on the podcast. I had dinner with him and Andrew Schultz. Schultz was in town in L.A., and I go, what are you doing tonight? And he goes, why, what's up? I go, you want to go have dinner with Bob Lazar? He's the guy that used to back engineer UFOs at Area 51. He goes, fuck, yes.
Damn.
I go, all right. So we went to Fogo de Chao in L.A.
That's awesome.
And we sat down with Bob Lazar and just got to ask him all these questions. I've known him for years now. So I've known him for probably, when I did the podcast with him, what year was that, Jamie?
2019.
2019. So I've known him for 6-7 years now.
Okay.
However it runs out time-wise. And he's always had the same story. He's a very reasonable guy. I've had dinner with him a couple times. Super normal guy. Doesn't seem like a big fat liar. Obviously a scientist. Obviously a very brilliant guy. I don't know what to think. I keep searching for some bullshit. I keep searching for something. He never saw any aliens. He never saw anything. He just was back engineering these crafts that didn't make any sense. He's like, he got there, he saw it. The moment he saw it, it looked like that thing. That's what it's based on. That thing on the desk, that's the sport model.
Jesus Christ.
There's a guy named Designs by Perry, and the E in Perry is a 3, and he makes these. You can buy them on the internet. He makes a desk clock or a desk lamp, rather.
So he'd have to examine the motor or whatever, the mechanisms of that, and try
they
to
didn't
fix
even
it?
tell him what he was doing. So this is what it was. So he worked at Los Alamos Labs in New Mexico, and he was a propulsions expert. He had famously put a jet engine on the back of a Honda. He built a Honda with a jet engine on it, just for funsies.
Yeah,
He was just a genius.
Yeah.
He just loved engineering and doing things. And he had contacted this guy about getting some work, work in laboratories or whatever. And he said, I might have something for you that is more along the lines with your capabilities. I'm going to set up a meeting for you. So he sets up this meeting for him. He has no idea what the meeting is about. He has no idea what they're doing. They don't tell him. They just start asking him about his background, what he did at Los Alamos, what he's interested in. And he's just tells his whole story of science and this and that. And so they had already heard about him. So they go, okay, show up at this place. There's airplanes that are going to fly you out to where you're going. So he's like, okay. So no one even knew about these airplanes back then. Now it's been confirmed that there's a bunch of airplanes right outside of Mandalay Bay. You could see these airplanes that they fly, the employees that work in Area 51, and they live in Las Vegas. They just fly them out there. But nobody knew about this in 1989 when he was talking about it, when he blew the whistle on it.
Yeah.
And so they fly him out there. They, show him how everything works for a couple days in terms of how the base works and where you have access to, what you don't have access to. They bring him this guy that is his coworker that was there before, and then it was going to show him the ropes. And then a couple days in, they bring him into a hangar. And there's that thing. And it has an American flag sticker on it. And so he goes, oh, these are ours. He's like, oh my God, no wonder why people are seeing these things. This is something that we have. So then they tell him, essentially, tell us how it works. He's like, what is this, a test? What? They're very vague about everything. No one's telling him where it came from. No one's telling him anything. And then he realizes, the whole thing doesn't make sense because there's no welds. There's no seams. It's it's 3D printed. And you have to crawl in it because it's designed for people that are 3 feet tall.
Whoa.
And there's no controls in it. He's like, what is this? And there's this generator in the center of it that has this triangle piece of this element that doesn't even exist on Earth. This element 115. He's like, wait, what the fuck is going on? And they explained to him, you bombard this element with radiation. This is how this thing works. You put this dome on it, gets bombarded with radiation, and then that causes this field around this craft that allows you to move around. Whoa. And so they do a demonstration for him. He goes outside. They fly this thing. When he's under it, he can't see it. He has to step away from where he is so he can see it again. He's like, what the fuck is this thing? It's not making any noise. It moves around. It gives off this like glowing light when whatever this generator inside of it is operational. It gives off this blue glowing light, and this thing was like silently flying around. And occasionally it would go from one point to another very quickly. Like it could go from like this part of the mountain to that part of the mountain and just appear there. And it would look like it just disappeared because it would move so fast. It would just appear in a new place, it seemed like.
What was steering the thing?
I don't understand it, and he didn't understand it either. They don't exactly know. He knows how supposedly this generator, there's these gravity beam projectors that are on the bottom of it, and the way you get it to fly fast, it would turn sideways, and then it would point these gravity projectors or whatever they called it into a certain direction. It would create this void around this craft, and it would just instantaneously go to wherever it was supposed to go.
Fuck, dude. That's crazy.
Right. And so he's working on this for, months and months, and then his wife starts having an affair on him because he doesn't tell her what he's doing. It's like super top secret. And so when you have this super top secret clearance, you can't tell anybody what you're doing. Yeah. So he's like, I got to go to work. She's like, it's 11 o'clock at night. Where are you going? He's like, I have to go to work. So he would just jet off, and she was like, well, I'm going to go fuck my flight attendant or my flight instructor. Damn. So this is all recorded because they're tapping his phones. And so they suspend him because they're wondering if he's going to be emotionally unstable. So while he's suspended, he takes his friends. He's like, I got to tell people about this. Like, I can't even work. Something's going on. I got to tell these people, like, hey, every Wednesday, I have the schedule. Every Wednesday, they fly these fucking things. And the reason why they do it on Wednesday is guess what? That's when there's the least amount of traffic on the roads. Oh. So he takes his wife and he takes a couple of friends and he takes them up to see this thing. And they go once and then they go twice and then they get caught. Damn. And then when they get caught, then they grill him, they scare him, they're poking him in the chest with a gun, and they're freaking him out, and then they tell him about his wife and the affair and all this shit. And so then he goes public, and so he gets hold of this guy, George Knapp, who's a news reporter in Las Vegas. And he tells him the story. And initially they black his face out, and so he could remain anonymous. He's like, look, the only way I can stay alive, you have to show my face. Because they're threatening him. They broke into his house. He goes outside. He goes to the gym, goes outside. His trunk is open. His hood is open. All his doors are open. The car was locked. No one broke into it. So he has no idea. They're fucking with him. Man. And he's really worried. Someone shoots his tire out on the highway.
Where is he now?
He's
just chilling?
Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to say where he lives.
Oh, whatever. But he's like around.
Yeah, no, he's around. I mean, this is a long time ago. It was a long time ago. Oh. And, he was kind of discredited. They tried to discredit him. They said he never worked at Los Alamos Labs. But then someone got a hold of the employee roster from the time that he was working there, and his name's listed there. Yeesh. So someone who worked there at the time said, I have the employee roster from, 1985 or whatever it was. And he says, like, here, right here. And they go through the roster and it says right there, Robert Lazar. And there's also a newspaper article that was printed about him being a physicist at Los Alamos Labs and that he had made this crazy jet engine powered Honda. Yeah. And so there's him with the Honda, and he's listed in this lab that he's a physicist at this lab.
Dude, that shit's so weird.
So, and then what that guy just said? Yeah. What Trump just said? He's not supposed to say that. It's classified. Like,
yeah.
What? Why don't you fucking tell us?
Well, I always wonder if they're going to try to do like a Space Force thing, where it's like WMD's the Middle East, we go to the Middle East. Now they're going like, yeah, I think there are aliens, and it's like now we get to do like Space Force shit.
I think if they're aliens, you can't do shit to them.
I know, but it's also like if you want to erect some weird defense thing in outer space so we can spy on China, it's like, yeah, I think there's probably are aliens by the way. It's like I would imagine there's something.
I would imagine there's something.
Because the government, whenever they start floating out things, like I assume there's like an agenda. I'm like, all right, what are they doing?
100%.
Because they just dropped aliens on us out of nowhere, and everyone was kind of like, okay.
Well, it really started around 2017.
Yeah.
That's when it started to become legitimized, because that was when the New York Times printed this article about it. And they talked about these pilots and their experiences and these videos that they couldn't explain because these crafts had no heat signature and they were flying at ridiculous speeds over the ocean.
Yeah. I remember them just coming out with it, and then like, and then they started doing the UAP thing and all that stuff, and they were like, yeah, there's like unidentified crafts and blah blah blah. So I'm always kind of like, what are they up to?
Yeah, it's weird.
What the hell are these guys up to? Right
It's
now?
hard to know what's real and what's not real, but when you start talking to pilots and people that have experienced certain things, you just go, wow, what is this guy saying?
Yeah, and I don't deny it. I'm always kind of like, yeah, you probably did see that stuff, but it's like, I don't know, it's like.
Why is it classified?
It's got to be I would imagine it's military stuff where they're like, we want to use it we want to reverse engineer and use it for our military if this gets into another military's hands, blah blah blah. But then they're all spying on each other, so I would imagine they would know too.
Well, the people that I've talked to said that Russia and China both have retrieved crashes.
Really?
Yeah, it's not just America that has them; it's other countries that have them too.
Damn.
Supposedly, this is the big story. Supposedly, there's one that's so big that they can't move it, so they built a building around it. And that's supposed to be in Korea.
What?
Supposedly. That's why I heard it's in Korea. But yeah, this is the lore, that this thing is so big that they couldn't move it, that they had to put a building around it.
Dude, that's wild. That'll be the thing I always think about. If they come out and say, yeah, there's definitely aliens, like, what do people do?
Yeah. This is the building, supposedly?
Whoa.
A giant building in South Korea is often been cited as a potential UFO storage facility. You imagine if they just built it the shape of a UFO?
Yeah, it kind of looks like it. Honestly.
That's so
I'm like,
crazy.
Dude, do a square building.
What's in that fucking building?
I don't know.
Imagine if that's real.
Yeah, what is this? Why are they, why do they think this?
Well, I would imagine that place would have to be heavily guarded.
Yeah.
There's just a gate. Who's that guy? Eric Burleson insisted on the existence of aliens, but admitted he has no definitive proof. Okay.
I was talking in that video I showed you the other day who said he was going to go look at these places.
He was going to go look in Korea?
He mentioned he was going to go look at the underground one. He didn't say where it was.
Oh, this is the congressman. Congressman's claimed.
Yeah.
So scroll down there a little lower. So here it is. U.S. Congressman has claimed classified facility housing a UFO is hiding in plain sight. Well, that's kind of hiding in plain sight. They literally made a little antenna on the top, just like this sport model. Look at this sport model. It has that antenna on the top. I don't know what to believe, man, but I know I want to believe. 270 feet in diameter. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, especially now with all the deep fake stuff that's going to come out. Like the next election will be in like deep fake territory. Everyone will be like, you were on the Epstein list. You were on it. No, you were.
Right.
I'm just,
You could have people saying all kinds of things that they've never said.
Or being like, I didn't do that.
Hanging out with people they never hung out. I mean, there was all these photos that were fake of Epstein with a bunch of different people.
Oh, yeah. No, there was a completely fake videos people were sharing.
Yeah.
It's like, so I don't know. By that time, it's like, I've been trying to just pull back completely from like the news, and I'm like,
Hey, what is the official story of the Colbert Show where they had to air that Tallarico interview on YouTube? Because I'm hearing two versions. I'm hearing one version is that CBS wouldn't let them air it because like Trump was involved and the government was involved somehow or another because they're worried about this Tallarico guy, this very charismatic guy in Texas that I really like. He's a very nice guy. I had him on the show. Brian Simpson told me about him. And then the other thing that I'm hearing is no, with FCC equal time rules, if he had Tallarico on, he would also have to have Tallarico's opponent, which is, I think, Jasmine Crockett. Is that true?
I didn't even know
or whoever his opponent is. So I think there's rules like that for the FCC that don't exist for podcasts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they have to balance it.
Yeah, like if you have this person on that's running for office, you also have to have someone that is opposing them. Running.
Okay.
They have to have equal time.
I didn't know they had that.
Is that true?
So he was on, he was on Colbert? Whose show was he on?
Yeah, Stephen Colbert Show.
Okay.
And so they were framing it like it was the government was censoring this guy because they're worried, and he was saying they're worried that they're going to flip Texas. That's what he's saying. I don't know if that's true though. because I'm.
So it's the different. Honestly, this sounds like it's Colbert saying one thing, CBS lawyers are saying a different thing.
Oh, okay. What are CBS lawyers saying?
They're saying that it's the FCC thing. Colbert says, quote, here, they know damn well every word of my script was approved by CBS lawyers who, for the record, approve every script that goes on the air.
Yeah, but it's not about the script. It's about the humans, the people that are on. If the people are, yeah, here it is. The show provided legal guidance that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule for 2 other candidates, including Rep. Jasmine Crockett, and presented options for how equal time for other candidates could be fulfilled. So you would have to have equal time. Colbert scoffed at this statement during Tuesday's show. They know damn well every word of my script, but it doesn't have anything to do with the script. Said they don't know damn well that every word of my script last night was approved by CBS lawyers who, for the record, approved every script that goes on the air. Well, that's just diverting because that's not what the subject is. Okay. I got called backstage to get more notes from these lawyers, something that had never, ever happened before. They told us the language they wanted me to use to describe that equal time exception, and I used that language, Colbert said, so I don't know what this is about. He went on to say he wasn't mad at the network and does not want an adversarial relationship. Well, he's on his way out anyway.
Yeah, I thought I didn't know he still was doing a show.
Yeah, he's doing it, I think, until like April or May or something. Come on, you're Paramount. No, you're more than that. You're Paramount Plus, he cracked. And for the lawyers to release this statement without even talking to me is really surprising. The host also noted there's been a long, very famous exception to the equal time rule, and that exception included talk shows, interviews with politicians. Oh, interesting. So that makes it interesting. We looked, we couldn't find one example of this rule being enforced for any talk show interview, not only for my entire late-night career, but for anyone's late-night career going back to the 1960s, he said. Colbert said that Carr has not gotten rid of that exception for talk show hosts yet. Maybe CBS was worried that this is a rule and that the government could crack down on them, although no one has ever done that in the past.
Yeah, well,
so this is a different kind of government, right? Obviously. It's a very adversarial relationship, CBS, or at least the Colbert Show, has already with Trump.
Yeah. Well, what are they worried about? Who is Taylor? What party is Tallarico?
He's a Democrat.
Democrat. And What's Crockett?
How many years would have to go by before people were doing commercial space flight before you decided to just take a shot? See what's up.
I think it could happen tomorrow.
If somebody like comes to you with a solid concept, we're going to put you in space, bring you right back down to Earth.
I don't think space is as big a deal right now. I think that it's a big business. And the fact that all the richest people in the world are in it, prove it. You know, that'd be like saying, oh my gosh, you can't ship this package. It's going to be $5,000 on FedEx. Nah. The fact that the richest guys in the world are in it means it's very cheap and you can get the hell out of here. And
is that what it means? I think it means there's a lot of like benefit in being one of the people that innovates in space travel. If you could come up with a thing where you send people into space and every time you do it, you could charge someone $100,000 and you get like a million people a year to give up $100,000 and go flying into space. That's a lot of fucking money.
It's only $100 million.
A million people. Yeah, that's right.
Still, yeah. I mean, I don't want to talk about your past or anything.
No, it's not 100. It's 100,000.
Yeah, it's like 3 extra zeros.
Yeah, it's not 100 million. That's 100 billion.
Well, that's when you start moving commas and not zeros.
Well, that's when you do math.
Yes.
So, like, if you're Jeff Bezos and you can make 100 billion doing that, I mean, you wouldn't make 100 billion. What if you make 50 every year, just putting people into space? That seems very valuable.
It's going to become a commodity very quickly.
Yeah, putting people in space.
But space is just a high-flying airplane.
Right. But if people are willing to spend a lot of money doing it, and then if you can figure out a way to escape Earth's gravity and land on on Mars or land on, Europa, on one of the moons.
Yeah.
What if you could figure out a way to fucking fly around Venus and come back home.
What the fuck is the point?
The point is the experience. Just like the point of going to Everest. Like, is the point being at the highest spot? Like, who gives a fuck if you went to the highest spot? Nobody gives a shit. But the point is the experience of going there and knowing that it's a difficult thing to do, and it gives you an unusual vision, an unusual perspective, an experience that few people rarely see. Ad blocker, you motherfucker. Got to disable ad blocker, son. It gives you an option.
That's bullshit.
Tickets to Mars will eventually cost less than $500,000, Elon Musk says. Well, thank you, Elon. What a bargain. Only $500,000?
I could fly all the way around the fucking Earth and stop 72 times for $500,000.
But if they really do get to that point, and they probably will. Look, if you go back to the invention of the first automobile in like the 1800s, and then you look at what they can do today with like Jamie has a Tesla Model X. Shut the fuck up, bro. They're great. They go 0 to 60 so fast it doesn't seem right. And it's a SUV. They're so fast. Have you driven one?
Ludicrous mode?
Yeah.
I have. Yeah. Lucas Plus, actually.
Have you driven one like that?
Yeah.
They're preposterous. They're so fast.
It's insane.
So you go from that old car that was like, fucking 20 horsepower to what he's got. It's insane. Now go 1,000 years from now. There's no way you can guess. And if you look at what we can do right now, if commercial space flight is a real thing and they're flying people into orbit, there is no doubt in my mind that whatever the amount of time it is, whether it's 50 years or 100 years from now, they're going to absolutely have space flight to Mars and bring people home. They'll probably come up with some new propulsion system, some fucking wild, crazy shit that we haven't even thought of before, and it'll change everything.
It's not going to happen with this giant go straight up. It's going to have to be something that circumnavigates and gains speed.
Alien technology.
Nah, I don't know about alien technology, but it's going to have to be something that circumnavigates and gains speed.
As long as you say circumnavigates, I think you know what you're talking about. Imagine being like at NASA. What you guys need to do is fucking circumnavigate.
Exactly.
Get it around. It's not gonna go straight up, boys. Never go straight up. The Earth spins. You got to go with the spin of the Earth.
Never go straight. Go forward.
It doesn't go straight. It looks like it's going straight, but it goes straight in relationship to where you're standing, but not in relationship to the way the Earth's spinning and the way the fucking planets are aligned. It's all complicated. Another fucking ad pop up.
Jesus, dude.
It just doesn't even work anymore.
I thought you were supposed to be really good at this.
He's the best. That's not the problem. The problem is pop-up ads. NASA is launching a 4G mobile network on the moon. Yeah, well, when I have 6G, I'm not going to settle for 4G on the moon, you fucks. That's like getting like 1X in the Amazon.
Who the fuck's getting it on the moon?
Assholes.
How many customers are on the moon?
Jeff
right
Bezos
now?
is going to be with that girl that you don't even like on the moon.
I just wasn't impressed
drinking
with
martinis.
Her. I mean, if I was worth hundreds of billions of dollars, I think I could do better.
I got to pee too, so we can either wrap this up or I can pee and we keep going.
Well, I don't care.
I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, you gonna fucking dare me?
What, you got your notes?
Oh, I'm just picking up my.
Have you thought about what I said about space travel?
Yes, and I'm not disagreeing. What I'm telling you is, as a race, we take over shit.
We try.
We go and grab shit. We take over it. We fight about it. We say this is our land. This is your land.
Right.
If we'd have been in the moon, we'd be up there.
The argument is that every single technological achievement from 1969 is easier, cheaper, and faster to reproduce today, except going to the moon. That's the argument.
I say wrong because I was born in '69. That was fucking cheap.
What do you mean? No, the argument is that everything from then you could do cheaper today and easier, like televisions.
Yeah, but they say you can't.
Well, they didn't work at it. That's the problem. It's the only thing they didn't work at. The only other things they didn't work at is like, I mean, how much innovation have there been in air flight, in like commercial air travel? Not much.
Propellers. I mean, it's been 100
No,
years,
69 they were already flying jets. When did they start flying jets?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. Well, then in the Concorde, they stopped sort of, I guess, with the Concorde. And then like, they're like, oh.
That thing
or
killed
they're
a
not
lot of
telling
rich
us,
people.
or they're not telling us how far they made it in space.
Well, the Concorde killed people that they can't kill. Like that was what was that getting you to France in like 2 hours or something? Something crazy.
And couldn't it have gone faster? They just kept it there, or no?
I don't know. I think the thing that happened to them was on the runway. I think it lost a wheel or something on the runway and killed a bunch of rich people, or ran into a tire, something like that.
It says low passenger numbers and rising maintenance costs. I mean, it was kind of expensive, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Sure. Sorry, I gotta blow my nose. I mean, it's going supersonic speeds, you know? I mean, how the fuck does it not break?
It wasn't that bad.
What wasn't that bad?
The price. I thought for some reason in my head, I thought it was like
a ticket,
thousands and thousands of dollars.
How much was a ticket?
It says the fare was about $500 or just over $1,000. What today?
In what year? When did they stop?
1990.
99. That's kind of crazy.
That was the Concorde.
Sorry, stopped in 2000.
That's kind of crazy if you think about progression. Like in 2000, you could fly at supersonic speeds commercially. You can't do that now. So that kind of throws a monkey wrench into the idea that things always get better. Because they don't always. When they cost too much money, they don't always get better.
I don't think it cost too much money. They were complaining about the sound and the sonic boom.
Oh, yeah, that too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think there was also the danger of it. It's like the last flight, I think a bunch of people died that were very wealthy.
Is that true?
What? Only 13? 113. Oh, yeah. That's a little more than 13.
That's fucking serious.
Yeah, and a lot of them were very wealthy. I think when you get hit with those lawsuits, like... So that's one of those things that from 2000 to 2020 did not get better. It actually stopped. You know, it's a lot of money to get people on the fucking moon. It's just one of those things where I think eventually they'll get to space tourism and it'll expand past the moon. It'll go to Mars, and it's going to happen. But it might happen 100 years from now. You know, it might happen 200 years from now. We might be shocked at how long it takes.
Well, then you're pleading my case right there.
Why am I pleading your case?
Because we haven't been there.
Might have did it once.
Yeah.
Might have did it once with a bunch of fucking cowboys.
Okay, you went to high school or even elementary school in the 70s, right? Mm-hmm. And you studied history.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen a picture of the flag on the moon?
Of course I have.
No, through a telescope.
Oh, me? Do you know they don't have telescopes that could actually see that clearly?
Yes,
on the
they
moon?
Can.
Really?
Yes.
Do you know how
have you
telescopes
seen
work?
Yes.
They don't work that way. They don't like there's a like a long distance thing, and then there's a close distance thing. Like you could use magnifying things like binoculars and telescopes that are like low magnification, and you can get like a good image of something that's not too far away. But then when they started getting too far away, yes, the flag is still on the moon, but you can't see it
using a telescope.
The Hubble is not pointed at the flag. Here it goes. The Hubble Space Telescope is only 2.4 meters in diameter, much too small. Resolving the larger lunar rover, which has a length of 3.1 meters, would still require a telescope 75 meters in diameter.
So we're the most badass country in the fucking world, and we put a man on the moon and he planted a fucking flag.
Mm-hmm.
And we ain't showing that off?
Right, but
because we're, as a country, we're like Burt Reynolds. What are you going to do? We're going to show off. That's what we do.
But did you read what that thing just said? I get your like country wisdom, where you're looking at it and you're like, if we had this, we would have that. But if you look at that thing, it's saying that the Hubble only has a thing that's 2.4 meters, and you need something much larger. Was it 75? 75 meters, which is like almost a football field size, to be able to see what's on the moon. Like, they didn't have the Hubble before, right? They didn't have the ability to take these high-definition images of things that were, like, way far away. Now they do. But to have something that gets really close to things, you need something that's even more potent. It's all for people not like you or me. We're arguing about shit that we don't study. That's what
I'm not even. I don't even care about it. To tell you the truth, I'm just telling you.
Well, you brought it up on a podcast. Millions of people are listening.
I'm totally screwed now. Whatever I said.
The gas
to the
monkey bar and
people.
grill guy that you're in a fucking argument with, he's gonna bring that to court.
Look, fuck that
I told
fucker.
you, this guy's crazy.
Fuck
he thinks Neil Armstrong's a liar.
So, what's next, sir?
Aliens.
I don't care about
You
aliens.
think they're paying attention?
Personally, I don't.
If you were an alien, wouldn't you be fascinated by hot rod culture?
Well,
I would.
I met an old guy a long time ago, and he put it to me the right way. He goes, "What if you're just a experiment in a young kid's school project?
Mm-hmm.
What if all this that you built is basically an ant farm that you have in your head, and you're just an ant farm in somebody else's head and somebody else's head?" It's kind of like the Matrix. I don't know if that defends us or defines us, but it is kind of interesting. I mean, you can't think that you're the only thing out there, or we're the only thing out here.
If we are an ant farm and we don't know that we're an ant farm and we're living and we understand how the ant farm works, the real problem is if the owner of the ant farm shows up. Up until then, we're just living. You know, if this really is like some complex ant farm for people, we're having fun. It's all good.
Yeah.
The problem...
We got some weed. We got some drinks. We're having fun. We're making money.
Talking
not
about
making money.
cars.
There
Talking
you go.
shit. Everything's fine. The real problem is if the ant farm owner shows up. That's the problem with these fucking UFOs that keep showing up. The ones that the New York Times puts on the front page of their newspaper. And
Is that a real newspaper?
yeah, it's a real paper. They do it in New York State. It's a city called Manhattan.
Well, no, I've been there. I know about it. I just don't know about New York Times being a paper.
Well, they're more often a paper than they are not. Sometimes they fuck things up, but they're more often accurate than not. Yeah, they were more accurate in the past than they are now. Now they're ideologically driven, and they tend to be a bit woke, but they're still probably the best newspaper on earth.
Did you say woke?
Yes,
Woke?
woke. You know, woke. There's rules. You know, the woke rules. You don't give a fuck about those, right?
I do not.
Me neither. But do you think that aliens have visited?
I'm going to give it a 50-50. I'm going to probably lean towards yes.
Is this anything you think about on a regular basis?
Only when I'm jacking off.
What do you think the UFO phenomenon is?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, that there are a lot of different varieties of it. But when we look at, like we were looking at the Francis of Assisi and the kind of historical things and the abductions and things like that, I think that it's been around for a long time, and that these are things that are in communication with us. So what I do in my book, both the books that I wrote about this, is I talk to people who I think represent thousands of people. So each person in the book represents thousands, if not more, maybe many thousands of people who have had experiences and the ways in which they interpret them. So all of the people seem to have had experiences where now what they want to do is they actually want to work for justice in different ways. Like Jose, the veteran in my book, he's working with young people and helping them deal with being addicted to social media and things like that, and helping them get through life, which is really hard right now. And that's what he's doing. And then you look at Dr. Whiteley, right? So she's working in the Space Force. She's trying to, help people deal with the fact that they're seeing things that, that could down planes and things like that. And she's helping people talk about that. She's helping people. Each person is somehow doing what I'm suggesting that I think is an out to this kind of structural injustice that we see. So I think that this is a transformational thing without the drugs is what's going on. Like some kind of massive experience that people are having, and now it's getting out and people are being able to talk to each other through Reddit communities and, different types of social media. So it is, we did see, religions when they become viral at one point. We've never seen it in an age where we have digital technology, but this is what we're seeing now.
What do you think the physical objects are?
Well, okay, so this is something that's very interesting. We just looked at the Shroud of Turin. I believe that there are these, I would call them, and this is just my own non-scientific term, interdimensional objects. They're objects that have characteristics of our dimension and some other dimension.
So some other dimension has the capability, or something from some other dimension has the capability of transporting a physical object into our realm.
Or even imprinting onto a physical object. Yeah.
How so?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think
What
that's
do you mean
what.
by, what does that mean, imprinting onto
So
a
with the
physical
Shroud
object?
of Turin,
Okay.
we see the imprint of, the image and.
If it's real.
Yeah, if it's real. But it's an anomalous object. So we do have, from Gary Nolan, engineered objects that we don't know how they're engineered, but they definitely look like they're, it's off planet. I would call the kinds of things that we see in the historical record interdimensional types of things. Now, how? I don't know, Joe. Okay, so I just don't know. But I do think that scientists in the government know that these things exist, and they would like to figure it out. And so part of disclosure, the disclosure movement, is outsourcing this and trying to get as many people as possible to help in figuring it out.
What do you think when they use the term donations? What do you think the purpose of that is? If there is an object that is purposely released into our, like I'm sure you're aware of cargo cults, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So with cargo cults, for people that don't know, there's been some islands during World War I and World War II where planes landed there and they left, and these people, they created these statues of these planes and they worshiped them. And they wanted them to come back. Yes.
Yeah, because they got food and all kinds of wonderful things from the planes.
Right. And
yeah. Like they thought of them as deities.
Right. The same way we would think of something from
like
somewhere
this.
else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that in my field has been called the cargo cult, the UFO cargo cult, right? And obviously Tyler and James view these parts as donate. They called it the donation site, right? So giving it the idea
Is that just one theory?
Yeah, that's just one theory.
Are there other theories that there's a biological organism that encounters a lightning storm and it actually crashes and there's physical bodies?
Oh yeah,
that
there is that. Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
Going
What's your
around.
take on that? Because that's one of the things that Grush talked about and some of the other people talked about, that there are biological things that have been recovered.
Well, what impressed me about what he said was that he used the term biologics. And I actually know that term because that's the same term that Tyler was talking about when he was creating materials in anti-gravity spaces on space shuttles and such. So I was wondering, because David Grush does get his information from people allegedly in the programs, but he's never seen these materials that I know of.
I think he has some firsthand experience that he was not able to talk about.
Okay.
That he's alluding to.
Okay.
I think, but this is recent, and he's been very careful about how he releases this information and what he's able to release and not able to release. And that I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Really?
So I mean, I've not seen any bodies, nor have I seen intact craft, but I also have had, now remember, I don't have a clearance like he has, so I can actually talk about what people have told me. I have had people tell me that, yes, Diana, there are intact craft. I don't know. I mean, maybe. So, I don't know, Joe.
Have you studied Bob Lazar?
Okay, yes. I am always asked about Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but I can tell you that people that I've met who are associated with the programs tell me that he's right. Now I know his background and I know, all the things. I don't have an opinion one way or the other, but I can also say that a lot of times people with very disturbing backgrounds, who could be easily discredited, are given information. and shown things and told things.
Well, I would think that that's sort of like a little escape clause.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is.
I mean, the guy's obviously a genius and was obviously a propulsion expert. He put a fucking jet engine on a Honda in like the 1980s. He's a fascinating guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And, he claims that there's some element that exists in other places in the universe, which leads me to believe, not even to believe, but so here's the question. Are some of these things from other planets? Is that also in the equation? I mean, just because something is traveling interdimensionally, we do know that there are an infinite number of planets in the universe. I mean, we have no idea how many of them are capable of supporting human-like life or some other kind of life or an infinite number of varieties of life. And if that life can do what we've done, and get to some part of its progression where it's capable of creating what we're calling artificial intelligence or super advanced technology, why wouldn't it come here?
Yes, I'm not discounting ET.
So that could be there too.
I think so, especially because of the ways in which the materials are being manufactured off planet, like the ones that we just saw. And that was information when I met Tyler 2014, and now it's a full-on thing that's happening, right? So it's a supercharged program of creating things that will help us off planet. I mean, certainly then, yeah, I think so. I mean, but I don't know.
Right.
So I have to just be honest.
So it might be a bunch of different things happening all at the same time, interdimensionally, extraterrestrially, something from a distant galaxy that's figured out some new method of propulsion that's beyond our imagination that can visit, and then also things that are coming here from other dimensions.
Yes. And even recently, somebody had, I can't say anything. I can't say I'm sorry. I don't want to be that person that goes on your show and says, I can't say that. But I probably, most likely there are, if there's crash retrievals here on Earth, perhaps there are in space as well.
Do you, when they talk about inventions that emerged post-Roswell, that's one of the points of speculation, is that we have back-engineered something, and that this led to the creation of fiber optics and a lot of other technologies that seem to emerge after that time.
Yeah. So this question was prominent in my mind in 2012 when I met Jacques Vallée. So I was already aware of his work, even as a person who hadn't studied UFOs or even believed in them. Jacques Vallée is just one of these people, right, that you come across his work and he's fascinating. So I thought it was strange that not only was he a person who was, pre-engineered ARPANET, right? He was on ARPANET, which is pre-internet. He was creating that at the same time as being obsessed with UFOs and doing, being a ufologist. These things seemed that they had to be together, right? There was something that, what's going on here? So, and I'm in touch with him often. And he says a lot of things that are rather cryptic, but sometimes I ask him specifically, was what you were doing on ARPANET related to back-engineered UFO parts? And then he'd say something like, there are many secrets in Silicon Valley, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's real cryptic. He's kind of difficult to have a conversation with publicly.
Well, it does have a lot. I guess there are lots of secrets in Silicon Valley.
Of course.
Which is where he lives.
Yeah. Another thing that was really fascinating about your book was you were talking about how much religion he studied.
Yes. That was really interesting. So in the book, what I do is I uncover not just him, but Alan Hynek. They were friends. And they were both Rosicrucians, which is a form of, he might not like me to say this, but it's a form of mystical Christianity in a sense. But a lot of Rosicrucians don't view their roots as Christian. they look at it as Egyptian, but it's basically it's an esoteric tradition, and it involves meditation. I think it most likely involves this thing that you and I have been discussing in the whole talk so far is the pineal gland thing, the access point, because both of them believe in this kind of life, this meditating and things like that. And so I included references. Everything I say in my books, by the way, I pass to the person that I'm writing the chapter about. So everything that I said about Jacques, I gave it to him beforehand, and I said, are you okay with me saying this publicly? And so it passed all the tests. And I also talk about going to his apartment and seeing his library, which is an amazing library. And he has stained glass from Chartres Cathedral. And Chartres Cathedral is a special place for Rosicrucians, like a special place of presence of the sacred. And he actually did those himself. So he learned how to do stained glass from people at Chartres, by the way. And yeah, just amazing. And he had a lot of books on angels and fallen angels in that library, like almost like it was almost like going into the Vatican archive, going into this place, because these looked like first editions or close. So, really, really old books about this topic.
Fallen angel.
Yeah. I was pretty shocked when I went. We were going to have lunch and talk about the crash site and maybe talk about, what I learned from Tyler and that kind of thing. And we went to lunch, and then he said, do you want to see the library? And I was like, yes, of course. So I saw the handwritten documents from Project Blue Book. And that was just going into the library. That wasn't actually in the library. Then when we got in there, I noticed big bookcases of these books. And of course I was drawn to them. And he said, he picked out one and he opened it, and it was about angels. And he said, this is a book about angels. And I could see that. And I was looking at it. I was like, wow. And then I looked at the other bookshelf, and that bookshelf was just as impressive. And then it was about fallen angels. He said, oh, this one's about fallen angels. And then he made a joke. And he said, you can't have one without the other. And I thought that was really interesting.
That does seem to align with what we're talking about, with like the struggle of good and evil.
It does. That's what he said too, and I was actually shocked at that point. I was like, "Wow!" So just I'm a professor of religion, so I'm like, I'm right about my intuition was somehow confirmed.
And by the way, I think this should be. I'm not sure if this is totally true, but I believe he was the inspiration for the French character in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
I think so.